Hello, my name is Bree, and welcome to Seriously Bud, a podcast featuring an unexpected conversation with someone in the WordPress community. And now it's time for my dad, Bud Kraus.
Thank you, Bree. You know, I had so much fun last week speaking with Rich Tabor, I thought I'd do this all over again. Hey, I've got some really exciting news to share with you, but I can't do it yet. So I'll be back at the end to give you my thoughts about this week's episode. It's number 30, so here we go.
Elena Brescacin, welcome to Seriously Bud. I can tell, or I know from what you've told me, that you're in Treviso, Italy. Is that correct?
Yes, confirmed. It's a town near Venice, and it's in the north of Italy, and it's a nice place to visit. Of course, not like Rome, not like Venice, but it's very, very a tranquil place.
Do you get visitors from outside of Italy to come there?
Yes, sometimes, yes, they go to Venice and stop here.
I know you're north of Venice, but do you know how long it takes to get, I'm sure you do, how long it takes to get there?
Where to get to Venice from here?
Yes, yeah.
About half an hour.
Oh, you're close, yeah.
Or half an hour, 40 minutes, depends on time, because you must reach it by train.
So are you a half an hour away by train?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, this is not a WordPress show per se, but why don't you tell me what you do with WordPress?
With WordPress, I am a blogger, and I have started using WordPress since 2004, yes, and I created then my profile. The day is almost 20 years I have the profile, yes.
Wow, about 20 years. What do you write about?
Oh, well, I have created many sites, many blogs that are no longer here, because when WordPress started, I had no accessibility settings on.
Right.
It was very, very poor at the beginning. The editor was very, very uncomfortable. I had to write HTML by hand. It was the fastest way to write. And I created one blog that was called about audio editing, about creating files, creating sound effects, creating novels with recorded voices. And then I created one about technology abuse, technology addiction. It was 2009.
Right.
But yes, then I deleted those sites because I couldn't maintain them. Afterward, I had another blog that was personal experience. Can I say bullshit?
You can? I think you're the first person that ever sweared on Seriously Bud. How about that? About 30 episodes, and I finally got somebody to swear. Congratulations. I know you said you started WordPress in 2005, right? So that was the beginning, or close to the beginning. What made you gravitate to WordPress?
Well, I started by coding HTML, but then it was very, very hard to build a site by hand. I needed something that could focus on the content and not just on the code. And so I became interested in blogs. Then you had Splendor, you had Blogspot, there was Light Journal. It was about 2000. And I loved the concept, but there were problems with accessibility. And so I said, why can't I host a blog, own my own domain, my own site with my own blog? And then came WordPress, came the first Italian person who worked in our country. Unfortunately, he is not here any longer. He died by cancer in 2022. It's Wally, Paolo Valenti, Wally. The WordPress profile name was Wally, WOLLY.
I think I've heard the name.
The man.
Yeah.
I thank for WordPress, for being part of the community and for having introduced me. In fact, that's why I felt very, very painful hearing that powerful people from WordPress publicly said to a competitor that they are a cancer.
Now, for people who don't know you, and I'm one of them, I'm just finding out about you. You're blind. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes.
Since birth. I am legally blind. I'm visually impaired, but I have a lot of very good vision. But I suspect it's not the same for you.
No.
Do you use JAWS and other assistive technology?
Yes, I have voiceover on my iPhone or NVDA.
And, I don't have as much technology. I'm assuming I don't use JAWS, but I do use voiceover and some other things because, you use what you need. And if you don't need it, you don't use it. But one of the things about being blind is that, especially when you have to use something like JAWS, it's really hard to learn, right?
Seriously, but
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, but has overall, I would think the answer is going to be yes, web accessibility or the ability to navigate and understand content. Do you find it easier now to understand and navigate content today compared to, let's say, 15, 20 years ago?
oh, well, there are many factors involved in this because in many situations there's more awareness about accessibility, about this stuff, but interfaces are beginning to be more and more complex.
Absolutely.
So it's very difficult to find the right compromise between having a feature full of features software and to be simple, to be accessible, and so on.
I know. And I'll bet another thing that you may have trouble with, I know I do, maybe not as much, I don't know. But when you're comfortable in using an interface, right? And then all of a sudden everything changes, that is brutal, right?
It happens, yes.
Yeah.
And
Don't I know? Yeah.
Yeah, bringing it to Gutenberg, I am really to WordPress block editor. I am really shocked because I found out that many blind people still use classic editor, the old one.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because the block editor used, the markup probably was more friendly to assistive technology than the block editor. It would be my guess.
I find it the opposite.
What, the classic editor is easier to navigate with JAWS than the... the other way. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I find the block editor easier because I play with content like it was like Lego bricks. You can move them around. Maybe I get the point because when you have to use the block editor, you have the content is split. So, you have one paragraph, then you must go down and the focus jumps to the beginning. You cannot read your content with the functionality like say all. There are functionalities of the readers that allow you to read all the content at once. You have to read paragraph by paragraph, or given that my site is about stories, about long text, I press the preview button, the view, create a preview in another tab, and I read the text, then Control plus F4, I close and start editing again if it's necessary.
So for people who don't know about using JAWS and this kind of thing, not only are you blind, but then you have to remember all these commands to make JAWS work.
You learn what you need to learn. They are many, but they are few. Because if you have to learn the whole program, you become crazy. A life is not sufficient, but you must learn what you need, unless you have to do a certification or something that you have to study in deep. Now I find that the manuals, the user manuals, documentation about screen reader and so on, give you the possibility to search what you need without becoming mad looking at all the document. But I find that reading documentation is still essential. You cannot do without documentation.
Did somebody teach you how to use JAWS, or did you gradually learn it yourself?
No, I learned by myself.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You also said to me that you're an HIV activist. Is that right? Or an awareness activist? What's that about?
Oh my God. This is a long story.
Well, we have time, so go ahead.
It started when I was a small kid because AIDS was starting to spread around and there were many campaigns, but campaigns were not made for awareness, but they created fear. They were made to scare people. And there was advertisements. A man hugging a woman, cuddling a woman. What the man had a violet circle around him, and the violet circle passed from the man to the woman from the contact. So you can guess how much stigma this kind of advertisement created.
Well, and that's how you started to become involved?
I started to wonder what happened because no one around me got sick except for the typical illness for kids at school, the viruses that they passed each other, until I had a friend who died by what that name of it's not cancer, it's another, it's in the blood.
Leukemia?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I said, this is not AIDS. She died, but no one about my bodies were dying, even if they did what I was forbidden to do. For example, lay on the grass to roll the floor. And then I started asking to people what it was all about. And they said that that virus spread by the same activity they used to make a baby. You can guess how difficult it could be at that time speak about those things to a kid. And so in that kind of situation, I noticed that all my classmate mothers got pregnant. They had a balloon in front of them. They
Right.
said, if people make baby with this disease around, the world will finish soon. And my teacher said, you get this kind of virus if you go out with the wrong person. This was not convincing me because what's the wrong person and what's the right person?
Yeah.
A disease cannot decide who is right and who is wrong and
Yep.
which is the basis. I was about 10 years old then. I don't like when I have never accepted when people talk without any explanation. You decide what is right and what is wrong according to what, in which base, what the position. And then I heard about Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
And after about 1 year from when Freddie Mercury was dead, I asked my science teacher because there was a guy, a boy, we were about 12, 13 years old, told me, be careful because if you like a boy and want to date a boy, you must worry about, take care about condoms. And he explained what condoms were. This guy, not my parents, not my teacher, but this guy was. So I took the change to the first lesson about science when the teacher was talking about virus, about infectious disease. And I posed the question. I said, so tell me if I am right. If you know someone who has the virus, AIDS, I didn't know it was the difference between AIDS and HIV then.
Right.
If you got someone who has AIDS and you use the condom, you cannot get, you avoid because it's like the umbrella, it protects. And I said, I can check by testing myself. So why people are talking so bad about some people and some other people? From there, I said, no one has to talk about something in that way. Fear does not make information. Fear is not rational, it's stupid. Fear is discriminating people is stupid. And I started to write about AIDS information on the school newspaper.
And when you were in school, were you a good student or not so good or what?
Well, I had quite high judges. I mean,
Grades?
yes.
Right.
Yes.
You did. What was your favorite subject?
I love science and
Yeah,
I love.
I knew it. I knew you were
Yeah.
going to say that. By the way, you said before that you blogged about technology addiction, right?
Yes, that was the past. I do not keep it anymore.
Is that because you were addicted to technology at one time?
Yes, I was,
Mm-hmm.
because that happened when in the first years, 2000 and so on, I could not defend myself from abuse and harassing language and so on. They said, I don't believe that you are blind. I don't believe you are a woman.
Huh.
So I create a fake identity. But in the end, it happened. I entered into the internet, into the chat rooms
Right.
with the more than with the fake than with my real profile. So it just went out of control.
Right.
It was addiction because I needed to.
But not anymore.
No.
Now, hold on a second. Now you listen to crime story
Yes.
podcasts, right?
Yes.
That's what you're addicted to. Are you addicted to crime stories?
Well, it's addiction when you
Yeah.
cannot do without something.
Yeah.
But, as I said before about AIDS and so, that was the reason I started to enjoy investigation and what the name. Yes, investigation.
Mhm.
The fact to discover something, what happened, to give explanation to something. My condition does not allow me to study or police and so on. There are many TV series where the policeman or policewoman is blind. I don't like this kind of narrative because it's seen like a superhero. I don't like pity when we are treated as pitiful, but
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
I don't like even when we are treated as people with superpowers.
Yeah, I have I could say a lot about all of that because I'll just say it this way. It is a disability that I have. At least that's what people say that it is. But it has also opened a lot of doors to me and given me opportunities to do things that I probably wouldn't have otherwise had.
I always say that the disability is there. We cannot deny that
Right.
blindness is a disability.
Right.
Because, for example, when I create a website, I build a page template on WordPress, for example, with that full site editing and so on. I do not know what a sighted person expects from an interface. So I design the interface according to what's functional to me. And then I need feedback from sighted person, the details. Before Gutenberg, before full site editing, I needed sighted person even for designing, for placing the footer, where to place the footer, where to place the header. And now I have created a multilingual solution, Italian English, by myself. And the sighted person I have a sighted partner. Partner means not boyfriend, means partner in the project, the person working with me. We are friends and we complete that for the project, but we are not a couple at all. And he is sighted, but do not know anything about technology, about WordPress. In fact, he put his hands on the footer and completely erased the Italian food. It happened a couple of weeks ago. And thanks to whatever divinity that revisions exist, WordPress revisions, because I could restore.
Right.
And then we did not go for the accusation way. You deleted, you touched, and I didn't. And that stuff. Once it was restored, stop it. So I said, you cannot touch please don't touch the editor again.
Yeah. So do you make websites for other people? Do you do testing for other people?
Yes, testing on web, testing on plugins, on overall plugins, WordPress plugins. If they see, I think that most developers, if they see the file.
So, and you must be very familiar with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I once knew it pretty well. I don't know it anymore. That's not my thing, to know it. So, I don't. Now, I want to ask you another question, and that is, do you ever go to WordCamps?
I went twice. I was invited online to the 2021, and I talked about Gutenberg, the first approach with Gutenberg.
Right.
And then I went to WordCamp on last year, 2020, and I was in person. Unfortunately, yes, they are on WordPress.tv, but they are in Italian. I regret not to have made them in English, but I was quite afraid not to manage a show.
And what was it like to go to the WordCamp in person? And by the way, for people who may be listening, if anyone is listening, and let's hope there are people, a WordCamp is a WordPress conference where people get together and talk about, what do you think about WordPress, and meet vendors and their friends and things like that. So you did go to one in person. And what was that like?
If you have a disability like me and so on, you need someone around you. You cannot move alone for lunch or
I know.
to go to tracks. Yes, inclusion, diversity, inclusion stuff, but more should be done.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We had a blind speaker at one of the WordCamps that I was involved in, and I know how difficult it was. No question. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was.
I will go to the core day, WordPress core day this November, to talk about my experience with plugin-less multilingual, how I created the multilingual without plugin. And I also speak about with my WordPress trainer, the lady who has trained me on Gutenberg and full site editing.
Who was that? Can you tell us her name?
Yes. She's Gloria Leoni, and she's in WordPress. She's a WordCamp organizer and speaker. She was one organizer of WordCamp Europe this year.
I wasn't there, but I went last year to Greece, and it was an amazing experience, to say the least. So, Elena, I'm going to ask you that last question that I warned you about, and I sort of know what your answer is going to be, but maybe I don't. Who do you recommend that I ask to speak on Seriously Bud?
Well, I think that there is a site that's called WordPress for Noobs.
Yeah.
And there is, unfortunately, I don't remember the name. She, a lady, she's called Jackie.
Maybe it's Michelle Frechette. I'm sure you know. I know you know Michelle. Who doesn't know Michelle? Elena, thank you so much for coming on to my show. And I know this is not always easy to do. But I think you did a good job. So thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Arrivederci.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Or I could say ciao, right? That's probably better.
Okay.
Hey, I didn't know that Elena was once addicted to technology and wrote about it, and is a longtime blogger, and she was a really good student in school and loves science, and loves crime stories. Did you? Now don't forget, you can subscribe to Seriously Bud wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, thank you for your time.